So Forest are being linked with Gyökeres, Usserman, David Douglas Luiz. I keep calling him David Luiz, and like a whole host of other players. Do you believe it's true? Do the panel believe it's true? And how long will it be before Ant poo-poos them all? Welcome to the forum. Evening, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to the Forest Forum, where we've got a lot to discuss about, and then we've got the Brighton game to talk about as well. So plenty going on in the world of Forest. Please make sure you've hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed if you are new here. And we've got a few of the usual faces, but we thought it was about time we upgraded Ez to a better looking version. So we got Tom in the house. Tom, good to have you on again. It's been a while, mate. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, Wolfie. Been avidly watching. It's the only thing that keeps me going living in America and having no football to go watch.
Yeah, but you get to watch all the games there, don't you? 3 p.m s, whatever. It's like it's all good, isn't it, man?
So do we.
The best part of the weekend is if I set my alarm for 9 o'clock, I wake up to either Forest winning or losing.
Well, it's been winning mainly this season. I mean, how's that felt for you? A little strange.
So you never wake up. You never wake up to us drawing then.
We haven't drawn many yet. We ain't drawn.
No, we haven't.
What was the last game we drew?
Arsenal.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't that long ago then. No. But yeah, Tom, for those who can't remember you from the last time you were on, let them know who you are, where they can find you. And the thing, sorry, I got a chip in my mouth.
Top quality broadcast.
That's okay. I've got one on my shoulder.
Hey, watch it, Ben. We've got another one in.
Yeah, I
was on a reality TV show on the TLC network called 90 Day Fiance. And then because I spoke my opinion and put forward a different way of being to most English people, I guess, they just expect you to be kind and loving and all the other things. And I was a bit rude. I ended up doing another 6 years with them. So that's what I did.
Wow.
And he's still here. And you got this John McGovern shirt to give away. I'm just going to pin that in the chat link now. There's an auction on it. Do you want to just talk about it so the chat know what it is? And Anne will be very interested. It's his boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's John McGovern's second half shirt for the Nottingham Forest versus Wolverhampton Cup final.
Oh yeah, I was at that game.
And it was signed by Brian Clough, and it says "Be Good" on it by him too. And it's signed by all the other players. Comes with a lot of different cards of the players that played during the game. But it's been put up at auction. So I just thought, well, this place is probably the best place for people looking for that sort of thing. So I put it out there for people if they want to go have a look. It is at I think it's like the 4th or the 14th of April. It's at auction. But like if Wolfie puts it in the link, then he can go have a look there.
Yeah, it's pinned in the chat right now. You can go have a look. You can click on it. It does look beautiful. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at it now. So make sure you guys go check that out. So is it a case, Tom, that they put like blind bids in or whatever
it's called now? Blind bids.
Yeah. So if they go on that website, just follow the instructions on there. Is that the best way to do it?
Go onto the website, follow the instructions, and then they'll have like a notification of when the auction starts, and they can bid or they can put blind bids in beforehand.
Yeah.
You say beforehand? Sorry, I just wanted to clarify this. But when it goes live, you'll be able to see the bid, yeah?
Yeah. So say for instance, like it's whatever, if it's got a reserve or it hasn't got a reserve, it starts at whatever the auction feel as though its value is. But I can think to myself, well, I've been online. I know it's worth $3,000. I'll bid 2,500 and hope for the best, that kind of thing. They're your blind bids. And then people bidding live, it goes against that bid.
Yeah.
So,
and that game, man, you were there. Shout out in the chat who else was there. And you, I swear I'll time you out, bro. You better behave in that chat, right? Freaking done.
It's oh, Trent, that's all we need to say.
Yeah, what was the game like then, Ant? All your memories of that game. And how good was
my memories of that game was beforehand. I was angry because Larry Lloyd, who was obviously a pillar at the back alongside Burnsy, got booked in a league game and he was suspended for the final, which I thought then, all those years ago, was absolutely disgraced. A player can get an innocuous yellow early in the season and then miss a cup final because of it. And the tragedy is that the mistake that led to the goal was by David Needham, who'd come in for Larry Lloyd. David Needham got in the way and let Andy Gray through in between him and the goalkeeper, and he scored the only goal. So that is my abiding memory, that I was so annoyed that Larry Lloyd had been banned for that game because I thought it was wrong. And the guy that came in to replace him was the one that made the mistake. I mean, we'd won the previous we'd won the cup the previous 2 years, so we were on for a treble. So it's kind of disappointing. But to be honest, we were at Wembley that many times in those days. Literally, we were at that Wembley that many times. It was just like another day, another day at Wembley. So what?
It could be another one coming in a couple of weeks as well. Pat was
we
at
were
that
European champions at the time, I mean, we were no
you
small
were probably
fry.
sitting next to Pat at the time. You know what I'm saying? He
Hey,
was spitting
Pat.
bullets as well. Yeah. Who else was at that game? Come on, show your
Pat's too
age
young.
in the chat.
Pat's too young to remember that.
Pat's too young. Yeah.
My dad was at it. My dad mentioned he was at that game as well.
All right, your dad. All right.
He is older than you.
Rob's had a hard life. He's only 20 years old.
It's all that Lib Dem stuff.
Yeah.
Stuart, welcome back, man. I'm not going into where Stuart was, but it's an absolute pleasure to have you back, Stu. I hope everything is a lot better with you. Thank you so much for the £10, bro. You're an absolute legend. Much love to Stuart. Chat, just give him some hearts, man. Stuff Stuart's going through deserves your hearts at the very least. Mark was there as well. I do love the different generations we have in the chat. The mistake wasn't Needham's fault; it was Shilton's. Oh,
sorry, I have to disagree.
You're trying to trigger out, Darren.
Yeah. We won't fall out about it, but I disagree.
Okay. All right. Annual trip to Wembley. Pat's agreeing with you.
More than annually. Honestly, we were there all the time. It's ridiculous. ZDS, the other one. What was the other one? Full members, everything.
Well, I'm with Goatfather. I haven't even born. I'm too young for that stuff, mate. I'm too young.
And I also went there to watch the 49ers versus the Miami Dolphins as well.
Yeah, that's Tom's neck of the woods. All right, let's get into the Forest chat, right? We've already got, how many we got in here? 170. We're just getting started. Get those likes up. We're on 46 likes. Should be over 100. We got a lot of transfer stuff to talk about. And then the Brighton game. I want to kick it off with this transfer stuff. There have been so many links already to Forest. Now, I will caveat it by saying it's the international break. All these kind of links tend to happen. But we haven't seen the kind of caliber of names in recent years being linked to Forest as they are currently. A lot of them are strikers, some interesting midfielders, a couple of defenders, etc. But I want to start talking about it. I want to get a gauge from you guys what your thoughts are on these players. Are they good enough for Forest? And do you think they are realistic in terms of coming in? So, Tom, I'll start with you, mate, as our honorary guest. Make sure you're following Tom on Instagram. Not that he needs the followers, by the way. He's got like 400,000, man. It's ridiculous. Tom, out of the names that have been linked in the last week or so, which ones really caught your eye from these transfers?
So you've got the big names out there, but I like the Italian Luca that you said, the 6'7" guy.
Oh, the Peter Crouch.
But he's not. If you actually watch him and you compare him to Crouch, he's agile, he's really quick, he's got a good jump, he scores a lot of goals, but he's tall, he's strong, and he's built. It's not like he was Peter Crouch was tall and he was kind of gangly and he had that awkward motion. This guy's built, and I think someone like that to bring on as your second striker when we're 1-1, 2-2, 0-0 for those final few minutes and put the balls into the box, I think we kind of need somebody like that.
Do you think, because value-wise, I think if I remember right, he's about 20-25 mil. Do you think that's the bracket we're going with when it's say a striker or something, or do you think we may look at putting a load of money in a big namer like a Gyökeres or an Osimhen or something? What would you do if you were Marinakis?
Firstly, it depends on what budget we've got. we've got quite a few fringe players that we can sell to generate some money. I think we got, what's the defender that's out on loan? I think they've got like a agreement for like 20 million or something for him. If you add up those players, say we get like 65 million, you could put that towards your marquee signing. And then I'd be buying the other players, like this guy who's 24 years old. The Italian press are calling him the next Vieri. And I'd pick one marquee striker, someone like Cunha. I'd go, like, if we've got 200 million to spend, let's go blow it and get the players we need to put the team together. Because going into Europe, we're going to need something a little bit different.
It's interesting, boys. I mean, what are your takes on Luca? And chat, what do you think on Luca? I mean, currently at Udinese, I think he's played 28 games, scored 10 goals. I wouldn't really call him prolific, but at Udinese, that's not a bad return. He is lanky, man. He is lanky. I get what Tom's saying. He's not like skinny lanky, but he's Carlos Miguel lanky, you know what I'm saying? And he's, how old is he? Can you remember? I think he's mid-20s, isn't he, Tom? About 23, 24. Yeah, something like that. So of a good age. Would he be one that you would look at and think realistic? Now, I'm not aiming this question at Ant because I know he doesn't watch farmer leagues, but Rob, Ben, very few looks at Luca.
I've got his stats up here.
Okay. Which that means is a no, you haven't seen him.
No, I haven't. The thing is, I've been watching your transfer videos the last few days. You've done a great job of filling empty airtime.
Thank you. Thank you.
We seem to be after several players called Victor, which is quite confusing. But I'm still questioning why we are exclusively looking abroad. Because if you look at the so-called big clubs in the Premier League over the last few years, they tend to sign the top players from lower down in the Premier League because they're considered less of a risk. They've obviously got the mileage in them in the Premier League. So,
what are you thinking of from the Premier League then?
Well, I mean, okay, Ant's going to freak out, but I still think Dilap is a good candidate. I liked Solanke, and you all laughed at that. Still got picked in the England squad.
How's Solanke done at Spurs, Rob?
Start for Spurs.
Look,
don't bring in the got picked by England crap. That doesn't mean a damn thing.
Right, just because Spurs players aren't having a good season, probably means almost nothing about the player and everything about Spurs, to be quite honest, right? So of all the people we've still been talking about, Cunha is the one that interests me the most because he can do it in the Premier League. Now, what I would say about Gyökeres, if I pronounce that correctly, I think you've got maybe a little bit excited about him. He's had 4 years of his career at Brighton, where he was the age that people like Hudson-Odoi and Elanga are now. He didn't kick a single ball in 4 years at Brighton, and he's come into the spotlight
in the league. He had a couple
at Coventry, right? At Coventry in the Championship. He actually scored against Chris Hughton's Forest on the opening day when we lost 2-1 at Coventry. And just to be clear, the level of that game, Lyle Taylor scored for us, right? So you're talking about somebody who had 4 years at Brighton, couldn't cut it, had 2 good seasons at Coventry, and is now in the Portuguese league. Now, the thing is with the Portuguese league, sure, we've brought in Morato and Jota Silva from there, but does that mean that the Portuguese league is capable of producing players that are worth 70 million? I would question that. So I think you got a little bit excited about him. The point about Osimhen, my question is, like, is the guy all there, like, mentally? Because, like, he's clearly fallen out with his parent club. What is he doing at Galatasaray, right?
Rob,
he wanted to go.
That's the same question.
No, he wanted to go to Saudi, and he didn't in the end, and it fell through. But if Napoli really, I mean, he was top scorer in Serie A, right? So he clearly can do it. But like, how do you fall out with your owners if you're league top scorer?
Napoli, because the Napoli owners are insane. That's why.
Well, they're insane to let him go.
They said he could go.
They let
They said he could
Maradona
go,
go,
but
didn't they?
they
They
demanded
fired
like
him too.
130 million pounds for him, which no club was ever going to pay. So he got angry because he wanted to leave, but Napoli literally priced him out of a move. That's why he got angry with Napoli.
So he's under contract. I'm sorry, but I think back to the days of Pierre Van Hooydonk. Sorry, I always side with the club when people behave like that.
But that's I don't understand that attitude. You always side with the club. The club is either right or they're wrong. They're not automatically right. Hold on a sec. He didn't go on strike or anything like that. He was willing to play for Napoli. It was Napoli that said you're not playing for us again.
So anyway, I just that is a question mark.
That president of theirs is a well-known psycho. So I wouldn't.
No, but what I'm saying is, if we're looking to double the amount we've paid for our record signing, who I think officially is Elliot Anderson, right? If you're saying we're going to spend 2x that, I'm uncomfortable with a couple of those names, just because I think that it could be a mistake. Whereas if you buy someone who's proven themselves in the Premier League, I think there's less of a risk involved, and I think that you're in a position to do that if you finish third.
So who are you talking about then as proven in the Premier League that we could buy?
Well, why don't you come up with your list of names? Because no one is ever good enough for you, Ant. I've noticed this.
No. Gyökeres.
You don't like Brennan Johnson. You don't like any of these people. So
all right, but Rob, are you talking about like a Visser? With a Visser suit?
Look, he would have been very useful just about now when Chris Wood gets his hip injury.
Just about now.
Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, like if you pick up Visser for 20 million, I would rather do a deal like that than go and spunk 70 million on one of the names we've just been talking about when it could all end in tears. Because it's, we're not the size of club that can make a mistake of that magnitude.
I agree with you on that. On that. But you don't know, do you? You never know with any signing whether they're going to work or not.
I think
it's always a gamble. And I don't think the likes of Gyökeres and Osimhen are gambles regarding whether they can score goals. This is my personal opinion, whether they can score goals in the Premier League. I tend not to worry too much about people's so-called reputation, because I've seen a lot of players have bad reputations before they come to Forest, and they come to Forest. I mean, look at Jed Spence, for example. He was never an issue at Forest, and he had a terrible reputation. Yeah. And we've had others too. We've had others too that have come with a bad reputation and never been a problem.
Apart from Joe Warren.
So I tend not to rule a player out because of that.
I've got
now the other side of the coin is I don't think we've got a chance in hell of getting either Osimhen or Gyökeres. So it's a kind of moot conversation anyway.
You say that. All right, we'll come into that bit. I just want to let Crypto have his opening gambit. I'm putting a poll on. Who would you rather have? I've got Visser, Cunha, Delap, Osimhen, and I need to get Gyökeres in. Who should I take off? Does anyone want Delap apart from Rob?
No one wants Delap.
All right, I'll get rid of him. All right, I'll go put Gyökeres.
I don't count then. I don't count. My opinion has been relegated.
No, of course no. This is the opinion. You get to speak your opinion. I want to give the chat the opportunity to vote their opinion. And if you want Delap, let us know in the chat.
After I proposed bringing Brennan Johnson back, quite a lot of people in the comments
don't have an opinion now.
Yeah, a lot of people in the comments said that they like that idea. So just I don't mean the live chat. I mean the comments on the YouTube video afterwards. Just saying, because I do read them.
Of course, you'll always get some people that agree with you, Rob.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you get some votes in the election. You know what I mean?
That's low. That's low.
You got 3 votes in that. I mean, some people like your grey jumper, but I don't. Anyway,
go on, Ben.
Look, this is going to really upset Ant, but he's going to have to listen to it. 2 names. This is probably going to upset all of you. If we're talking Premier League, I'm thinking Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
You agree with that? I'm surprised at that. I know Wolfie will. Look, I think Darwin
will agree.
Although he's not completely consistent, he does score some really good goals. And look what he does to us. I mean, he always nearly scores against us. So I think
he's chaotic. He's a bloody nuisance up front.
He's one of those players that I think Nuno could get the best out of him.
Yeah.
So
he's not the right player for Liverpool. I think that's
no.
I mean,
there's people in front of him at Liverpool. You could argue, Jota, Salah, Diaz, whatever. There's a number of good players at Liverpool, but Darwin Núñez apparently is going to be sold, and I think he would be quite good for us. And then the second name I've got for you, and I've purely chosen this based on my FIFA team, which Ant is going to love, and the fact that he's called Ben, is Ben Sesko. I think he'd be brilliant for us. So apparently, Bayern Munich are looking at him. Benjamin Sesko. He's a fantastic.
Benjamin Sesko.
He's a fantastic player. I was just looking at his stats. He scored 18 goals this season. So, I mean, if we could get someone like that at Forest, we'd be pushing the next.
Ben, I'd be absolutely okay with either Nunes or Sesko, but it would depend on the price.
Why?
Yeah,
I would pay less for them than I would the likes of Gyökeres and people like that.
What do you think, though? What do you think is a max price Marinakis will pay? I think it'd be about 75. I can't imagine he'll go out and buy £100 million striker.
No, I don't think he'll pay that much. And not only that, and I'm being honest here, I don't think any player that's valued at £75 million will come to Forest. And I'm being honest with you. So it doesn't matter whether he's willing to pay.
Yeah, but we're Champions League. This is what people don't get.
I know we are. But we're not an established Champions League club yet. And
you know what?
That's the next step to qualify regularly, and then teams will come and think, well, actually, these have got
this. This links into the England thing though, because there's been a ton of people crying saying Morgan Gibbs-White is going to leave because he won't get in the England squad properly unless he joins a bigger team. What is bollocks? We're going to get Champions League next year. We're third in the Premier League. It's not about.
He wasn't necessarily talking about Gibbs-White anyway. A lot of people say he's talking about the likes of Rashford, saying you've got to move club because if you stay at Man U, you're not going to be playing. And I can't pick you.
Well, Callum Hudson-Odoi should be in there. If Callum Hudson-Odoi was playing that match the other day, it would have been 6-7-0.
I've heard recently, in fact, it might have been you that put it out there.
I told you,
It didn't get on well with Tuchel,
So there's been, for those that don't know, there's been an article come out today where a journalist is interviewing Callum Hudson-Odoi. And I think the word he used was he has his differences with Thomas Tuchel. So that says to me that he's not going to get picked by him. If you read the article, I can't remember who.
He may do at some point. He may do at some point.
That would have no bearing on what club he played for, then, would it? If he's got beef with the manager.
No, but that's just something separate. Like, you know, because if he's better than Rashford, no one can convince me Callum Hudson-Odoi is not better.
I agree. All
right, let me just catch up on some of these super chats. My man Stuart with another £10. He goes, where did my membership go? Oh shit, I got sectioned. I didn't want to say it publicly, Stuart, but if you've mentioned it, that's cool. Rob's jumper, my eyes, he says. Lord, make it stop. Just kidding, Rob.
It's a plain grey jumper.
How much? You told us you bought it 40 years ago from DHS or whatever it's called. DFS.
Your jumpers are getting so much traction, man.
What's on about?
This gets so much traction. Stu, much love. And speaking of your membership, there it is, bro. Thank you so much. Much love to you. Good to know you're out sectioning and doing well, man. So we're here for you as always.
Have they got a spare place for Rob?
Or you, mate. Or you. Stoney with the 29
I could do with the rest.
Thank you so much. 29 months, bro. From the day he was born, he just became a member. It's crazy.
Is Stoney 18 yet? Because he was like,
I don't know, man. He's been like 17 for about 5 years now. Wolves F1 with the €5. He goes, Tricky's in Dreamland. Wolfie, would you take 5th and FA Cup win? LOL. Yes.
Yeah.
5th and 3rd are the same thing.
Yes.
So yes, 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Would I take finishing 2nd ahead of Arsenal and not winning the FA Cup? Now that's a different question. Different question. Thank you so much for the €5, bro. Guys, we're on 85 likes. Like, what you doing here? Already 300 in here. We're just getting warmed up.
I got a round of applause on one of the and looks of shock. I can't remember which podcast I was on. I was on some podcast or other. And
yourself out these days.
They were trying to sort of batter me down because I've said I'd rather qualify for the Champions League than I would win the FA Cup, and I explained the reasons, etc., etc. And then they said, "What about if you finished Europa League and won the FA Cup? Would you accept that?" And I said, "Yeah." And they went, "Oh, okay. Oh, you're a proper fan then. That's all right then."
Would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd rather Champions League.
Yeah.
Forest versus Madrid and Barcelona. PSG.
So what happens is we win the FA Cup, we qualify for the Europa Cup, we win the Europa Cup, qualify the Champions League, we're okay.
Yeah, so you just end up in the Champions League.
Only a year behind.
The year before, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, then we'll probably get relegated the year after. And
don't you go there. Mark with the 31 months. He goes, see you all in Europe. I'm glad you're awake for this stream, Mark. I really am. Shout out to Mark as well. He'll know what
He's
I'm
going
talking.
back to sleep now till we
Yeah, that's it. And the other Mark with the 31 months as well. Thank you so much, buddy. Much love. Appreciate Catfish himself. Okay, Tom, I gotta ask you. We'll divert for a second, but I want to come back to transfers. What is your stance on this Champions League versus FA Cup? Like, what to you is the priority?
Champions League, first and foremost, because that's going to put us in a better position to get the players we want moving forward. FA Cup, great if we can do it. Why not do both? But like, if I had a choice of one or the other, I'd take Champions League. It just puts us in a better position moving forward with transfers, the amount of money that's coming into the club, and really establishing ourselves as a Premier League club.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like let me. I agree with you, but let me play devil's advocate here. Aren't you just getting a bit of a Spurs/Arsenal mentality? Like, because Champions League qualification is basically for the money. Aren't we in it in football to win trophies? Remember, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just trying to play the whole other side of the argument here.
I think we're going to win. I actually think we're going to win the FA Cup and we're going to finish second. That's what I think is going to happen.
I'll take it.
If Liverpool capitulate, as they seem to be doing with all the in-house fighting, the last 2 games they've lost, if we win by some sheer imagination, every one of our games, like they said, it's a cup final, and Liverpool pick up 3 wins and a couple of draws, you don't know. It's still not over. You guys all think it's over. I'm kind of, let me live in dreamland. I still think.
Yeah. Tom, dope's legal in California, isn't it?
No, but Tom,
compulsory.
Because Tom WhatsApped me the other day saying this, and I was looking at the time thinking, man, it must be late over there. You genuinely believe that there is a chance. Now, you're not saying it's guaranteed or anything, but what I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is the fat lady kind of hasn't sung.
Yeah, mathematically it's still there. If we do win the next 6 games and Liverpool lose 3, are you going to change your mind with a few games to go?
Would you boys change your mind?
Oh yeah. If we won 6 on the trot and Liverpool only won 3, then yeah, why not?
Who they got next?
We already have won that amount on the trot.
Liverpool
are due a 4, which they haven't had in the Premier League all season. European Cup out. Got beat the other day.
And will Trent play again for them?
Yeah.
And if he does, what is the reception is going to get
will
like?
They be
now
burning his shirt?
Yeah.
And they picked up 3 injuries, didn't they? Alisson got injured, the central defender got injured, and Glatchenbach, as he called, got injured away from
Gravenberch.
So they picked up a few injuries.
About time.
Yeah, I don't know if you're convincing me or not. Chad, what are you saying? Are you agreeing with
Oh
Tom?
no, Wolf, you don't start again.
I'd let this go. I'm not gonna lie, I'd let this go, right? And now I got Tom here just rekindling some old flames and stuff. And like, chat, should we dare? Should we dare? Because you're deadly serious, Tom, man. I'm like,
what was Brian Clough's famous words about the European Cup?
Yeah. I hope nobody underestimates us.
Oh,
No,
it's
stupid enough to write us off.
Yeah.
Can I just bring us back down to
That's what I
earth?
meant.
Can I just bring us back down to earth? Chris Wood is injured, right? Which is the thing that we were all the most worried about. So I would be satisfied with. I would be satisfied with just staying where we are in 3rd. That would be very good under the circumstances.
Well, you got a believer in 00. So there's one.
I actually prefer Taiwo up front than Chris Wood when Taiwo's on form.
When's that been then?
2 years ago.
Spell, didn't he, where he came in? No, he had that spell after injury where he came in last season. Where he hit quite a few goals. We only need Taiwo to come in and score 5 goals, say, in the next 6 games. If Wood's out, I love Wood. He's a great striker. But there has to be a point in the season where someone comes in and they get that real fire in the belly, which they had the season before. And I think it's his time.
Let's hope so.
I want to believe it. So I'm gonna start to hate you if you get my hopes up and then like Liverpool smash Everton, right? And then where are you? If are you saying Liverpool have to lose their next 3? That's your kind of stance on this.
Well, if they out of the next 6, if they lose 3 and draw 1, then I think like they're going in with 6. What is it?
So that's 9.
70,
That's 9 points then.
yeah, so there's 79, and we can pick up 81 if we win all ours. Like, I'd love it just for those last few games
Oh,
to
can you
have
imagine?
that scenario. Because even
Can
if
you
we can just, because Liverpool have already won the league in their heads. If you look at the players, they already think they've won. And that's not a good thing in football when you have a belief that you've already achieved something. We're not. We're still happy to be where we are. We're being humble as all the players are singing to the same tune, aren't they?
Tom, I
6
do
more-
think that Liverpool will drop off, but I just don't think they'll drop enough points. And even if they drop enough points, it's a hell of an ask us to win every game.
But if
But
they
our
lose
games
to
are winnable.
they've
They
got
are
Arsenal, they've got Chelsea, they've got Everton that they've already drawn with.
Yeah, but Everton's at Anfield. I mean, they never lose to
But
Everton.
it's a
at Anfield.
derby game. Anything's possible in a derby game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would it not be written in the stars, similar to Morgan Gibbs White missing his penalty, that last day of the season, Darwin Núñez steps up to take a penalty on the 90th minute, knowing he's going to Forest
To win the league.
shanks it into row Z, and Forest win the Premier League.
Tom, you're worrying them. I think Darren's thinking about starting to believe as well. Let me ask you, though, Tom.
Either that or he's concerned about Tom's mental welfare. It's one of the two.
Maybe. Tom, who's your most hated club in the Premier League?
My most hated, Bournemouth.
Okay, Bournemouth. Okay.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Oh man, you two are going to need to get a room soon. I can tell.
Liverpool up there or not? I'm just like wondering if there's a little bit of the Liverpool red mist in there. What's your thoughts towards Liverpool?
I just remember being a kid and went to Anfield with one of my uncles, and he'd made these big £50 notes, and he was waving them in the air, singing a song about signing on.
You can't say that or they get mad. I get that. I get that.
Poverty chanting.
Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like that.
I think they're due some bad form. I think they've got a few players out, and I just love it going into the last 3 games to be like, they're still mathematically there. Even if we don't accomplish it, it would be nice to push for that.
So by that definition, you think Arsenal are going to drop off? Because obviously we still got to overtake Arsenal, 4-point gap.
Yeah, I think Arsenal they're gonna drop off. I do think so.
Yeah.
Saka's now, though, isn't he? Saka's fifth.
He'll get injured again. You're hearing this, Arsenal Avenger? Yeah, you're dropping off, mate. You're dropping off. All right, let's just catch up on a couple more super chats. Sid with the €5 says, Wolfie, can we get a tumbleweed emoji? For which bit, Sid? Which bit? There's like so many you can pick from, bro. Thank you so much for the €5. Yeah. And then Simon was talking about the Stuart Pearce event yesterday, which he and Rob went to. I couldn't make it and couldn't make it, and Mark was asleep. But how was it? Firstly, how was Pearce's health, Rob? Is he looking fit and well?
It was quite funny because the first thing he said was, you all thought I was dead, didn't you? And the whole room erupted into laughter. So, yeah, I mean, look, he's okay. I think as the evening went on, he did look a bit tired, like you need to go and lie down. But look, no, he's fine. He's fine. And he was in great form yesterday. Told a couple of unrepeatable stories where everyone had to stop recording. So it's good for those. And no, it was a great evening out, actually. And hopefully we might be able to get him on sometime soon.
What did you think of the grey shirt?
No, I didn't have my grey shirt. I had the black jumper on. My friend won the signed shirt as well, so he was quite happy with that.
Oh, a little insider trading there, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a fair raffle.
$5. Yeah.
No, it was a really great event. Anyway, I hope that everybody else enjoyed it as much as we did. I was absolutely smashed by the end of it. I can't even remember how I got home. I may have gone to the Vale on the way home, which was even worse.
You did what?
Well, I think I went to the Vale on the way home. I don't think I even
you said you got a whale on the way home.
No. What?
You decided what you said, mate.
I went to there's no whale involved. The Vale. It's a pub in Arnold. Anyway, don't worry.
I'm just checking. Shout out Shouts out to Jordan and to Tyler who got the tickets as well. Jordan sent me some photos. He even mentioned that Rob got to ask a question, and he said Stuart Pearce really liked Rob's question, which I found very surprising.
Yeah, he gave a good explanation of his whole free kick technique. Actually, it was pretty interesting. About he would always go on the keeper's side.
Tell them what your question was. It would make more
Well,
sense
no,
that way.
right? Okay, it was like, well, we always used to rely on your free kicks. Why don't we score them anymore? And he said it wasn't that complicated
anymore, mate.
Well, it wasn't all that complicated. He said, but he would basically always aim on the keeper's side, and then he would put a couple of players on the end of the wall to obscure the keeper's line of sight. And in his own words, he would basically aim for their gonads, and they would step out of the way at the last moment. The ball would always go in, and that was it. So, and he said you have to just hit the ball with a message on it, in his words. Which I would describe as pretty hard. So
what was your question?
My question was, why don't we score free kicks like that anymore? He didn't answer that part. He just explained about how he used to do it.
So he didn't answer your question, basically, is what you're saying.
Well, no. Look, it was just a trigger for him to talk about his free kicks, which are perfect.
When you get to his age and my age, you tend to, as you often witness yourselves, you tend to ramble off onto a different, and you forget what the original thing you were talking about.
I've never noticed that.
I fully understand, Franco. I'm backing him on this.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of someone who can take free kicks, let's do the Gyökeres conversation, right?
I thought you were going to say
what's interesting, right, is when we did, I want to do Gyökeres and Cunha together, okay? Because when I did the Cunha video the other day, the comments were so anti-Cunha, like, oh, his headspace isn't right, he's a troublemaker, all this stuff, right? But then we put a poll on the community tab. If you haven't voted on that, make sure you vote. I think it's had like over the 1,700 odd voted on it. Cunha was really popular on that tab as well, which just confuses me. It's like, are the same people who are commenting, voting? I don't know, right? So chat, get your thoughts in on Cunha. But Cunha is available. You're looking at about 65 million for him. And it's the same with Gyökeres. In fact, Gyökeres is a little cheaper, and he's going to be between 60 million and 70 million euros, about 55 to 60 million.
What? I'm sorry. I was saying I'm quite surprised that he's valued at sort of 55 million.
Well, he's got a release clause of 100 mil euros, but there's a gentleman's agreement between him and the club to go less. George, you just keep hoping for Xavi, right, at Spurs, George, right? Don't.
George, look, you've got Brennan Johnson, we haven't. End of subject. Don't pester us again.
And your best player is an ex-Forest player, mate, in Spence, right, George? Right? All right, George, we did this an hour ago.
We're third in the league. I'm not sure where you are because I don't scroll down to the second page.
Oh, George. Oh, what are you saying, George? Anyway, before you're rudely interrupted
our fans are mostly Nottingham fans and English fans, and we also have worldwide fans, of course, and everybody's welcome. But it's not 90% Korean like your fan bases. So once Son goes, you're not going to fill that bloody stadium of yours. Beautiful stadium, by the way, but you ain't going to fill it once Son goes because all your fans will piss off with him.
Make sure you subscribe to George. I love George, man.
I love George so as well.
Durang Diaries. Make sure you subscribe. We have some very healthy debates with him. What was I saying? Yeah. So let's start with Cunha, right? I love him. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. I think at 60 odd million, it's a bargain. Yes, there are other clubs involved. I still don't know how true it is. We told you lot in January that Sky Sports were chatting crap. We were proven correct on that. Forest were not in for him at all. It wasn't even inquiry phase, right? But times moved on. Forest might get Champions League. He has a release clause on the new deal he signed, which I think is about 65 mil. And would he fit in with all the stuff? Because let's not ignore what the comments have said with his attitude and all this stuff, right? But at the same time, we've had the likes of Collymore, Van Hooijdonk, etc. in the past. Does it bother you? Well, firstly, would you take Cunha?
Oh, yes. Yes, I would. Yes. Yeah. Quality play, for my mind, quality players, they'll always fit in because they're quality. You know what I mean? I'd like somebody to tell me what exactly is all this fuss around him with his attitude. What has he done wrong? I mean, are you talking about on the pitch because he gets sent off on a fairly regular basis, or are we talking off the pitch shenanigans behind the scenes? What is it exactly? Because all I ever hear is that Cunha's got a bad attitude. Cunha's this, Cunha's that, but nobody ever says what it is he's supposed to have done that's so bad.
Well, Wolves F1 will be the best one to answer it for us. If this does actually develop in something, then obviously we'll get Dazzling Dave on. He's saying Cunha is a whole. What coming his attitude? He thinks he's Maradona or Messi, and
I don't mind that.
Yeah, but Wolves F1, he's single-handedly. I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he has single-handedly kept you away from that bottom three, hasn't he? Is what I'd say. But when your question on the attitude,
I don't mind players that think they're good, as long as they don't like not pass and stuff like that. You know, then obviously that's taking it too far. When I've seen Cunha, it's never seemed to be. I've not noticed an attitude about him. You know what I mean?
Did anybody watch the Argentina-Brazil game, by the way? Or the highlights of it?
He scored in that, didn't
he? He scored a great goal in that. He robbed the central defender and then shot him from really quite far out. And this was despite Brazil getting completely pummeled the entire game. My question about it is, for Brazil, he was playing as a 10 behind Vinicius Jr. So, is he going to... How is he compatible with Gibbs White? Is my question, because he's not. He does
play in a number of positions, doesn't he, Rob?
Yeah,
and also, as I always say to you guys, because somebody is a number, it doesn't mean they have to stick in that position. And he's a bit like Morgan Gibbs White with the fact that he goes all over the place. From what I've seen,
he's a great player. He's a great player, but he's not really a like-for-like replacement for Chris Wood. If we're saying Chris Wood only has
no, he's not. No, he's not a centre forward. I wouldn't ever say he's a centre forward.
Okay, so where does he play if we sign him? Is my question.
Well, we'll put Gibbs White in the 8.
I'm in the 10 and play MDW in the 8.
Yeah.
That's what I just said, and I agree with you.
So where are you going to play Anderson then?
He can play in the 6.
Thank you.
And then who's the replacement for Chris Wood?
We get Gyökeres.
Benjamin.
I'm going to put the cards on the table anyway. Listen, hang on, Rob. I've nearly finished. I'm going to finish in a sec. I'm putting the cards on the table. I don't think there's a chance in hell we'll get Cunha. I think in his head, if he thinks it's Maradona, then or Messi, he's not going to come to Forest. He thinks he should be out. Yeah, I know now, but he wants out, doesn't he? That's the point. So I think he'll want to go to an Arsenal or a Man City or a Liverpool.
You've been doing so many podcasts on those other channels, and Wolves says Spursy moment when Romero blundered. Yes, I'm not denying how important he has been for Wolves and how brilliant a player he is. He plays. I was going to ask you that because I think he's like a shadow striker / cam. He says 85% of the time he's been at cam. I think a lot of people misprofile him as a 9. I don't think he's.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He's a 9.
He's way better at shooting than Morgan Gibbs White as well. And don't forget,
that is true.
We've got tons of Brazilians and Brazilian speakers in our team. I think he'd fit right in. Look, there was a reason I got this wallpaper behind me. It's because Cunha's in Forest.
In the know. Let me ask you lot this hard question, right? Let's say that he comes in to play as a 10, okay? And Gibbs White is only going to play as a 10, right? We're not pushing him into an 8 or what have you. Who would you start in the 10 if we had Cunha and Gibbs White?
Cunha.
Or another way, would you be willing to get rid of Gibbs White in order to get Cunha?
No, I wouldn't get rid of him. But
that's a big question.
Well, can I try and answer it? In that, I think if Gibbs White were to play more regularly in a deeper role, firstly, he'd be good at it, and secondly, it might be very good for his England career. Because you're
right there, Rob. You've been a politician. You're not answering the question.
No, but that is the question, though, which is if we bring him in, what do we do with Gibbs White? Now, look, Gibbs White has hit some absolutely world-class passes in recent games, and that's because he's playing deeper and he's able to see what's going on in front of him.
That's not the question, right? Rob.
All right, that's fine.
What are you doing? Wait, I'm not letting you out of this.
MDW into an 8. He specifically said that.
Yeah. The question is, You got one position left on the team. It's the 10. Yeah. You got to pick between Cunha and Gibbs White. Who are you putting in that 10? And who are you putting on the bench?
If it's first
Tom, I'm
game of
coming
next
to you
season-
next. You're not getting away with
All
this
right,
one.
Fair enough.
Go on, Rob.
Well, if it's first game of next season and you've just gone and spent 70 million on Cunha, you start him definitely because you're hoping that he's an upgrade.
Yeah, but Rob, you've always hated Morgan Gibbs White. You've had an agenda.
No,
Since day
shut up! Nonsense.
one. Agenda since
Tom.
day one. And
Rob,
Same
Rob,
question.
don't even bother, mate.
I know.
We're
I know.
not- we're not
I've
on board
literally
now.
just been praising him. So
What are you saying, Tom? Same question. You got Cunha and Gibbs White in the 10. Who gets the nod?
Well, I'd put Cunha there for one reason. Gibbs White has got no real competition in that place. And by having Cunha there, it's going to raise his level to a level that he's not even at yet. And let's face it, he'll just drop down to the 8. So I put Cunha there. There's a bit more competition for Gibbs White, and then he's going to end up playing in the 8 anyway.
I would as well. I just, my main reason is the shooting.
Yeah.
I think Gibbs White is a better passer of the ball, but Cunha can hit that damn ball, man. I don't know how many goals he's got. I'm sure it's not many more than 8 or 9 or something like that this season. I don't know if Wolves F1 can enlighten us, but his finishing is just exquisite, and he makes something from nothing. I know Gibbs White can as well, but I just feel Cunha can pick the ball up, score a goal with it from wherever, whereas Gibbs White, I think, can create a chance to score a goal rather than do that. He's got 14 goals in
good.
with all due respect to Wolves,
That's
in a
good.
stinking Wolves
That's
team
good.
this season.
and he knows.
I
I mean, ideally, you want both, don't you? Ideally, that's what
Yeah.
you really want.
I mean,
And
I
then
would
you
put
can-
Gibbs
Because
White in the 8.
Cunha can play a bit further forward, just behind the striker. He can play on the right side. He can play on the left side. Morgan Gibbs White is very versatile, so you can have both, and that would be great.
Yeah, and he knows the
Sadly,
league.
I don't think that happens.
He's got the pace. He knows the league. Imagine this, right? You're effectively your attacking force on the pitch is Anderson in the 6, MGW in the 8, Cunha in the 10, Hudson-Odoi on the left wing, Elanga on the right wing, and Osimhen up front. That would make any man Zorro.
Sounds pretty good.
Like a decent team, isn't it? And would be nicking Wolves' best player again for the second time.
I think
in
Nuno
like 3 or
might
4
have to
years.
slightly change the way we play, though, because those forward players.
We wouldn't need a manager, Ant. We wouldn't need a manager.
Just send them out.
Just give him the ball and let them go.
Training
Yeah.
match every game, FIFA style.
Could you imagine that team, right? Could you imagine? Look, here's a vision of the front 6, boys, right? You've got a number 6, you've got Gibbs White in the 8, Cunha in the 10, Yilmaz on the right, Hudson-Odoi on the left, and
Yes.
Gyökeres up front.
Yeah, that'd be
Do we
all right.
do we just do the double next season with that?
And the number 6, I am convinced that Anderson can play 6. He's
Yeah.
tenacious enough. He's got
Says he
the
wants
vision
to
to be able
as
to
well.
play it.
Says he wants to. That's what he said in
Really?
that. Yeah.
has he said that?
He wants
He
to play
said,
a
in an
10.
interview, he said in an interview he wanted to play. I'm sure he said he wanted to play 6, like a defensive midfielder. I'm
No, he
sure
said
that's what
10. I heard 10.
Yeah, it was either that or I don't want to play 6. It was one or the other.
There was a number between 1 and 50. All right, I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah. All right. Final boss is saying Adrian Einar for Osimhen potentially. Maybe. It's an exciting time, isn't it? It's an exciting time to talk about this.
Can I just say, I
actually
think there's
depend-
more chance of getting Osimhen than there is of getting Gyökeres. And
All
the
right, is there
reason I
anyone
say-
who's Swedish? Sorry to interrupt. Is there anyone who's Swedish in the chat? Is it Gyökeres or Gyökeres?
I think it's Gyökeres, but there again, it's Swedes. You just don't know. It could be.
Tom,
Smith.
you're a well-traveled person. What's your insight?
Yeah, come on, Tom. How do you pronounce
I
it?
pronounce it as Gyökeres.
Gyökeres. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it seems to be.
I got a video.
Anyway,
like-
the point being, I think we stand more chance. And the only reason I say that is because Osimhen just spent a year at Galatasaray, which are not in one of the leading leagues in Europe. So if he's willing to, it's Gyökeres. So
and it's Gyökeres.
if he's willing to play for Galatasaray, then I would say Forest is an upgrade,
Yeah, but
especially in the Champions League.
Yeah, but he's gone to Galatasaray just to get away from the chaos at Napoli.
Yeah, I know,
hasn't
but
he?
still a year out of his career. Surely he
Mm.
could have turned and said, "No, I'm not going there. I want to go to a proper proper club. With
All
all
right,
due
so-
respect.
well,
All
let's-
due respect, Galatasaray is a massive fucking club with amazing fans. So it's just that they're not in the top leagues, is what I'm saying.
All right, well, let's do this. Tom, Gyökeres or Victor.
apparently.
It's Gyökeres, actually.
Gyökeres, according to Google.
I'm
Okay.
just doing that.
All right. Let me rephrase the question, Tom. Which Victor do you want up front if you had to pick between the two Victors? Wait, just before you answer that, the poll, by the way, for the 10 between Cooney and Morgan Gibbs-White, 50-50 exactly on the votes.
Ooh,
Crazy.
oh, yeah.
I'm going to ask them which
Gyökeres.
Victor they want next.
Gyökeres.
Kick this one off with you, Tom. And guys, please do get those likes up. There's 350 in here, 122 likes. You can do better than that. Make sure you've hit that like button. Go on, Tom. Which of the Vics do you want, man? The Queen Vic or...
If I had a choice, I'd take Osimhen. Purely based on the fact that when he was playing for Napoli, he really did put in a great task. And it's a harder defensive league than, say, the Portuguese league. So I think I'd take him.
It's pronounced as Victor.
And you're not on it.
Victor Gyökeres. So in English, you can say it as Victor.
No, go back.
What are you
It's
doing?
pronounced as everybody.
Are you ringing like a hotline?
So in Swedish, it's pronounced as Victor Gyökeres.
Gyökeres.
It sounds a bit seductive, this guy. What?
Gyökeres.
It sounds weird.
Who is this guy?
Can we get him on?
Yeah, is there
Sorry.
no shout? Is there no shout for Victor Wanyama? Whatever he's called.
Where's the tumbleweed? All right,
That's
so
a while ago,
all right,
yeah.
Tom, just to push
I
you on
liked
that,
him.
right? I get why you're saying Osimhen,
Mhm.
but there is an AFCON tournament coming up next. I think it's December or January. So that's going to be in the thick of the, say, Christmas fixtures and the festival fixtures and all that. Does that sway you at all?
Not really, because I think we've still got Chris Wood in there. And
Good
we'll probably
point.
bring in a third striker anyway. So, no, I don't think that's a problem.
I don't know who I prefer, guys. I don't know. What are you saying,
We
Crypto?
have cut down on the amount of AFCON players that we have nowadays. I mean, I think there's only Aina and Sangare.
Mm.
They're the only ones I
Bolly.
can. So it's not as bad as it was.
Well, Taiwo,
Bolly.
if he was on form, but he's
Taiwo.
not.
Yeah.
No. Oh yes, no, it's the World Cup that Nigeria have been knocked out of, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you still got Bolly. I think he's going in the summer.
Yeah, but I'm talking about first team
yeah,
players.
for kind of first squad teamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we learned the hard way about that, didn't we? I mean, we had about 5 out
we
and
did.
6
We
out.
had 7, man. We had 7
And
out.
I'm
last
talking
season.
about regulars though. Regulars were out. It was grim.
Yeah, if you look at last time, it was Sangare, Einar, Taiwo when he was in form. You had Serge Aurier was still with us, wasn't he? If I remember right.
Yeah.
But wasn't the final Nigeria Cote d'Ivoire? So it was like the worst possible outcome
It
for
was.
us. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, who else did we have, Chad? There was a couple more. I've gone blank on them.
There was
Bolly.
Bolly,
Emmanuel Dennis.
Dennis, yeah. Bolly,
Did he-
I don't
Dennis.
think it was-
Well, he wasn't on the books. He wasn't on-
Sangare.
Chat will fill in the missing ones.
Yeah.
All right, Ben,
I think I'd have
which
to-
Vic?
I think Osimhen just nicks it. I think Gyökeres is like, a Ferrari and Osimhen's like a Bugatti. He's just a little bit better. He's a little bit more special. So it'd have to be Osimhen for me.
I just think as a striker, as a pure 9, I think Gyökeres is better. I think he's got a more complete game.
I
Yeah,
think
but
for me,
I'm-
Gyökeres is more of a goal scorer, than Osimhen.
Yeah, a pure 9.
Yeah,
And
but
I
what
think
Pure 9.
you guys
Go on,
aren't
then.
taking into consideration that when you play FIFA, Osimhen's like 94 potential. So if we had him on FC 26, mate,
he's an 84 rated card anyway. So
yeah, he gets
and,
better.
Osman's 87. So
Yeah, Osimhen.
I agree with this. I think Gyökeres suits the Nuno style more than
does.
Osimhen. If I'm being honest, I think with Osimhen, I don't know. Osimhen's got a good bit of pace on him.
I think he's like, Nico Williams style with the mask, isn't he? But
Got
I
the
think
mask.
we're splitting hairs a bit, aren't we? We'd be happy
They're
with
both
either
brilliant.
of them.
I'd be happy with
We'd be happy with either of them, and we're going to get none of them. So
I'd also be happy with Cunha and Wissa. I think that would be a good pairing as well.
Vissa for me just feels boring. don't know why.
He's the kind of squad player that you need.
You can't spend 60 million on Gunyer and then another 75 on a striker. Realistically.
No, you can't. No, I don't think we'll be spending that kind of money anyway on individual players, because you got to bear in mind as well the wages. They're often a bigger incumbency than the actual fee.
True,
it's the wages that kill clubs more than the fee does.
But true, but with the additional Champions League revenues,
yeah, I'm not saying we couldn't afford it, but you get yourself into that situation where you're starting to play players 200 grand a week, and if you do have an off season, that's not sustainable.
Yeah, but the thing with the Champions League, Rob, is that money doesn't come in till the end of the season. We'll do a whole video on it.
No, but it would be included.
It also adds in extra restrictions when it comes to FFP at PSR stuff with the 70%
I think
revenue
the
cap.
thing is that these things come as a package, right? So we saw with Jimenez, right? He wants to play in the Champions League. So the minute, so if we were to make a signing that was on exceptional wages, and then we didn't win the Champions League and we didn't qualify, then you would expect that player to leave anyway, and thus you wouldn't be saddled with their wages. So I think, if you're going to fish in that pond, you've got to be prepared to make that kind of signing. But I think.
Yeah, if you commit to I'm talking a massive salary now, like 250 a week. That's 13 million a year over a 5-year contract. That's 65 million. You paid 65 million, so you're actually paying 130 million for a player.
And what will we pay Jesse Lingard? What did we pay Jesse Lingard to do?
Look how that turned out.
I know, but I was like, I don't think anybody could be worse value than him. And what were we paying Divock Origi as well?
Well, we made mistakes, but we've learned from those mistakes.
All right. Well, let's. This is. Go on, Ben.
I was just going to say, the thing is, like, Rob's complaining about people's wages and paying them too much, but don't forget that Rob wanted to half Chris Wood's salary at the end of this season.
We're talking nonsense.
Well, no, it's literally what you said.
No, I said that he might be prepared to accept less in terms of for a longer deal.
I've told you, ignore it. Right. To this point with Murillo,
this is what I was going to ask. Like, will we need to sell to buy?
I don't think that our estimation of Murillo's worth is going to match potential buyers. I think we'll be looking to get over 45 million from him right now, and that's not because of his last night. It's because we do pump our players up. And when I talk to other fans, they say, "Oh yeah, he's a good player, but he's well worth 40 million." And they think, "What? You what?" But
you're talking to Savra and George, man, Spurs fans. They don't know how to value it.
For a central defender, I think I wouldn't want him to go at all. And if he did go, I'd like to get 70 million for him. But I'm concerned that we perhaps won't get that. I mean, we did well in selling Brennan for 47, 48. We did very well there. So maybe we will. I don't know. I'm just concerned. I don't want us to see us lose one of our jewels and be disappointed at how much we get for him, which has happened a lot in the past. I mean, 8.5 million for Stan Collymore was a disaster. 3.5 million for Roy Keane was a disaster. Even though they were record fees, they still weren't high enough.
Well, I don't know. What do you value Murillo at, Tom? Do you reckon? Well, what do you think he'll stay? And if he doesn't, how much would you want for him?
Firstly, I think he'll stay if and when we get Champions League, because that was his initial goal, was to play in the Champions League, and he sees it as a stepping stone if that's what he's looking at. And after last night's performance, which I was quite happy about, if he'd gone out there and put on one of the best performances you've ever seen, I think we'd have had a few problems. But
true.
I don't know, 65, 70 million mark. That's what I think he's worth.
Okay. Are you talking dollars here or pounds?
Pounds.
All right, I was just checking. But
so how much is that? I missed that. How much?
65, you said. 65 cents.
Yeah.
All right, but let me counter that. If you look at some centre-backs that have gone, and this is a few years back, Fofana from Leicester to Chelsea was 80 million. Go back even further, Harry Maguire, again from Leicester to United, about 80 million pounds.
Changed though, hasn't it?
Sounds like Leicester's had a lot of people's pants down.
Yeah, no. The PSR has kicked in now. It wasn't in those days. It's kicked in now. And you've only got to look at the last couple of transfer windows to see that the prices are not what they used to be.
Right? How much did Chelsea pay for Casado?
Yeah, but Chelsea are mental.
How much did Arsenal pay for Declan Rice?
Declan Rice.
He was, but he was worth that.
It doesn't matter. You're saying about PSR. We're saying that Murillo.
Yeah, but
is
you're talking about generational talent with Declan Rice, so he's worth.
Yeah, but you're still talking about a player who was playing at West Ham. It's not like they were
Yeah,
bringing
no,
him
you're
in
right.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, you are right. There'll always be the exceptions, won't they? But I mean, last January was dead, man. Dead.
Yeah.
You know, nobody splashed out, did they? That I can remember.
Well,
Nobody
Man City
paid
did.
I think Murillo's valuation just gone up.
Did it quietly, didn't they?
Man City spent 70 million on Marmoush, or as Rob would say, Marmoush. They bought the centre back. I forgot his name.
Yeah, can we leave Man City aside? Because let's be honest, they are a slightly different case to the rest of football.
I'm just saying,
they've got their own rules. They abide by their own rules.
Rob, they've got the second biggest revenue in world football.
Yeah, from selling empty seats to Emiratis. Yeah,
no, it's full every game. It's full every game. They're having 65,000.
I've seen the
Rob,
footage.
come on, grow up. Don't believe all the crap you hear on these silly.
We're turning into a ball here. Right. From the VIX, the one you guys in the chat wanted, 63% are saying Gyökeres, 37 saying Osimhen. It's good to see our chat is educated. I agree. Tom was wrong. Tom was wrong with Osimhen. But I would take either, man. I would take both. Don't get me wrong. All right, just before we get into the Brighton game, I just want to touch on some of the midfielders that we've been linked with. And this one for me is probably the most interesting one. And that's Bellingham. Because this is a slight different take on some of these names that we've just talked about, your Gyökereses, Osimhen's, etc. When it comes to some of these midfielders that we've been linked with, you're looking at a championship level club. And first, before you get too excited in the chat, we're talking about Job Bellingham, not Jude Bellingham, right? Because I had a certain person from this panel calling me very excited before I'd even watched the video, Rob, saying, how are we linked to Bellingham, right? So
yeah, that was ultimate clickbait. Well done.
What was that clickbait? It literally had his picture on there. He had his name in the title.
Rob,
Rob,
you know I always back you, but on this occasion, I saw that and I thought, oh, it's Job. It didn't even cross my mind. It could be Job.
Educated, yeah. So, but I will say, to defend Rob, some people in the comments are like, I didn't even know he had a brother. So it's interesting to see the scope of it. Anyway, on Job Bellingham, who is doing well in the championship, but is this the kind of profile that we want to see move into Forest? Now, you can use examples like Wharton at Crystal Palace, who jumped from the championship and I think has done really well in the Premier League. Is this the kind of caliber player we should be looking at? Because this isn't just a jump from championship to Premier League. It's potentially a jump from championship to Champions League. Because hopefully, all things being considered, we should be there. So who wants to start this one off on Bellingham?
I think there's too many levels in football. Like the Premier League teams at the bottom of the Premier League are a better quality than the Championship team, but they're not as good as a mid-level Premier League team. And then when you start jumping up to the top and then going into Champions League, it's like the difference in levels between talent and skill level and pace and being able to keep up with the game is just so different that if someone's doing good, I mean, look at Omar Bamadeli. I thought Omar Bamadeli was quite good, and he got voted, I think, like Championship Player of the Year or Championship Defender of the Year. But you put him in the Premier League, and he was okay, don't get me wrong, but you can immediately see the difference in the level. And I think if you go from Championship to Champions League, I just think it's too much of a step up. I just think we need to be aiming higher. If we are getting Champions League football, we need to be aiming higher.
I think.
What are you saying, Tom? Do you agree with that, or do you think?
Firstly, I would much prefer the other Sunderland player, the 17-year-old Rig, I think he's called.
Rig,
yeah. People are.
He's like a Rolls-Royce midfielder. But if you're going to look at Bellingham, you have to kind of take away his brother's name as to what he might become.
Yeah.
So it's a real hard one because it's like if he has the same trajectory as his brother, then we're going to get an absolutely amazing player, and we do need some younger players in there. But if it's just you know, he's going to be at this level and he's going to end up being a lower level Premier League player? Is it someone we really want? So that's one of those ones that you just take a chance on, I guess.
It's going to cost about, I can't remember what I said on it. Was it 20 mil? Someone in the
20
chat.
mil, yeah.
About 20
yeah,
mil.
We talk about these 20 mils and say, oh, he's only 20 mil. It's a lot of money. And 20 mil less you can spend on another player, isn't it? That's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm all in favour of looking at championship players. Because you do get some gems through. Gyökeres, for example, you do get some gems come through the championship. But you can never be certain. No, unless you've seen them play at a high level, you can never be certain. That's down to the skill of the scout, not looking at a spreadsheet, not looking at statistics, but going and watching the player and seeing if they can recognize in that player the potential to become a really good Premier League player. With Bellingham, I've not seen the guy play. I am concerned that his name is Bellingham, and that is why he's getting the attention. It does, without doubt, that is the case. He wouldn't be getting the same attention if his name wasn't Bellingham.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've not seen him play, so I can't really comment on whether we should get him or not. But I just say beware of saying it's only 20 million, because you only have to have 3 of them, and that's 60 million. That's your top class forward gone.
The thing is, though, it's such a crucial position. I wouldn't want it to turn into like a Sangare situation where you've got one of the best CDMs in European football, but he can't keep up with the pace of the Premier League. Like it's the Premier League is different. Everybody says it. All the players say it. The pace of the Premier League is the toughest thing, and I think to go from that Championship straight into a Champions League team is just too much of a jump.
Well, you're right, Ben. The gap is massive.
Yeah.
You know,
Although
look at the 3 teams that have come up. Southampton got promoted last season. They've got 9 fucking points this season.
Yeah. Just someone made a good point. I think it was the last score stream we were on. Like someone like Sangare might be quite good in Champions League because it's a different style of football. Yeah. We're playing Spanish, Italian teams. Sangare might be fantastic against those because it's not going to be Premier League type football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. That's who I would take, him or Tyler Adams. Yeah. The last one I'll mention, which I think is realistic, and I think this one will happen. Douglas Luiz, ex-Villa, currently at Juve, not really getting on there. Heavily linked now of coming back to the Premier League. There's some Edu connections here. Who's our boy now? Technically not, but you know what I'm saying. I think this one is very realistic in happening. Now, what the reports are saying on this is it's going to be a loan with an option / obligation to buy a year-long loan. With that, I think it's a sensible deal, but he can drive mixed emotions out of the Villa fans when you speak to them about it. How are you guys thinking on this one? Would you take Douglas Luiz?
What position does he play?
I would call him a deep lying playmaker. He can play the 6, he can play the 8.
Yeah, we've got them.
You know what I'm saying? I would more put him as an 8.
Anderson. Yeah, I'd rather Anderson playing as a deep lying playmaker than I would Douglas Luiz.
I would like
another one with a bit of a reputation of being a naughty boy as well.
I'd like to know what the plan is for Sangare and Danilo. I don't think anybody knows yet. So until we've worked out what we're doing with those two, I don't think we should necessarily be adding to the midfield unless.
See, I think you're looking at that wrong, Rob, because we got Champions League football. We need a deep squad. Like your players on the bench need to be good enough.
We've got depth there. We just haven't necessarily got quality.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Any person on the bench.
A Bellingham level signing
would raise the floor, mate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, yes, Luiz might be better than what we've got. Bellingham not, and therefore, I think Ant makes a good point that if you keep making like 15, 20 million signings at this stage, then I mean that's what we spent on Danilo, and you end up sort of attrited down to then you can't make your big signing. So we've got to be careful with the money there.
The thing is with Danilo, he's not. I don't think he's Champions League level. He's barely mid-Prem table level.
He needs a loan.
He's without Champions League. In fact, he's World Cup level. So
he needs a loan. So, but I think let's not add. We are going to have to look at some departures as well. I think, and we've got to be careful because obviously, if certain people go at certain prices, then that actually hits us on the PSR. Believe
Yeah,
it or not,
but
even though it's cash coming in, you've actually having to write off amortization.
There is a player in midfield who, if we sold, we could make pure profit on PSR.
Ryan Yates.
Ryan Yates.
I mean, I don't want to say his name, but I'm just saying.
What are you saying, Tom, on Luis? Like, does he fit in for you? And well, does he raise the floor? I guess I like that phrase that Ant uses.
Yeah, I like him as a player. He does raise the floor, as Ant says, in that midfield position. He can play in the 6 or the 8. And he's better than what we've got at the lower end, I guess. So, and like you've just said, I would be one that would be selling Ryan Yates, because although he's come into his own, I think we could get 25, 30 for him.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What,
I do.
pounds? 25 pounds.
Yeah, I do. I think 25, 30. And I honestly think that would be a really good move for us.
It would.
So
It would at
I'm
that cost. It definitely
and
would.
I seem to remember you went crazy at me when I said that selling Mangala for that amount was good business, and you absolutely
Mangala was class.
There's a difference between Mangala and Ryan Yates.
Firing shots at Mangala.
Yeah, Yates is better.
Mangala's a Belgian international.
Pure profit to Nottingham Forest.
Mangala's a Belgian international. Is the
one at a
Let
time.
Tom
have you
speak.
noticed
He's the guest.
One at a time. Thank God.
Mangala went there? Have you noticed how Everton have improved since Mangala went there? The Everton fans love it.
He's injured, mate. What are you
Since
talking
Moyes
about?
went there. Since Moyes went
Sure.
there. Sorry.
Well, what are you
we're
saying,
talking
Tom?
over our
Sorry.
guest.
It's all down to Mangala.
Yeah, it's pure profit on the PSR scheme, isn't it? So it's
Who's gonna buy? Yeah, who's gonna buy him, Tom?
I don't know, like a Brighton or a Bournemouth when they get, maybe, I think.
Maybe.
Bournemouth
I'll
don't need
tell
him.
you
They've got
what, Tom.
Tyler Adams.
If you look at the other Premier League
Everton.
clubs, that have got-
Everton will buy him.
yeah, Everton. There's other Premier League clubs that are going to have to like ship out the better players, and I think Yates is a really good mid-table Premier League player.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll tell you what, if someone offered 25, 30 million for
Yeah.
Yates, I'd drive him myself down, mate. I think
I
that'd be
think
cracking business.
Nuno would, to be honest.
Yeah, and I actually think Yates has heavily improved this season, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are now
He's
talking
going,
Champions
right?
League.
He's
going,
decent, but he's not quality. Yeah, top quality. I mean,
I mean,
Okay.
he's better than Danilo, but
Okay, let's
You're asking for trouble,
move
you are.
forward and talk about an actual football match, right? Because unlike most other Premier League teams, we are playing this weekend. And we got Brighton in the cup, boys. So apparently I read somewhere that Forest are 7th favourites for the cup.
Yeah.
Was that you that sent it, Ben?
I think Ant sent it. We're basically like one in front of Preston North End.
Yeah, we're the highest ranked team in the competition.
We're only 7-2 to beat them at the weekend. In the cup, it's bad.
So
I think
we're 12-1 to win the FA Cup.
No, I'm just saying in the Brighton game this weekend, they're like 8-7, and we're 7-2. It's nuts. It's like
Seriously.
Yeah, but it all goes on the algorithm of what they've just done, isn't it? And since we beat them 7-0, they haven't lost. So I think it's more to do with that.
It also goes on if people are putting a ton of money against it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you've literally gone and done that, and okay.
Oh no!
Honestly,
Yeah, your
And-
Ryan Yates shirt back.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask Anne this. And who's the manager of Palmeiras?
I've got no idea. Why would I know that?
Slapping the badge, man.
No, since Danilo left, I'm not bothered.
All right, let's get into this preview, right? So, team-wise, we know Chris Wood is out. And I don't know if I want to unleash Ben on this one, but yeah, how are your thoughts on Chris Wood being out, Ben? I am going to regret asking this, but okay, I've said it.
As you might want to just disappear for a few minutes while I have a rant. No, I won't have a rant, but I mean, Awani's got to step up, hasn't he? I think it's time. Like, if there's one point in the season now where Awani has to step up, it's now. Come back and prove to us that you can score goals and pick up where you left off, a year or so ago. Obviously, the wise ones of us on the panel did suggest that maybe Chris Wood could get injured. I know Lemmy told us that was a physical impossibility, but now he is injured. So Awani's got to step in. What else can I say? Apparently Chris Wood's only out for one game, right? So it's not as bad as we think. But for the sake of winning our argument against Lemmy, I hope he's out for the rest of the season.
All right, so are you boys in agreement? I don't know where he is now.
Exactly, Darren.
He's got very quiet since he got injured.
He hasn't spoken in our chat since Chris Wood got injured. Not a single word.
And he's not even trolling. I don't think I've seen Levy say hi on that since. But all right, let's kind of piece together some teams here, boys. Right. So are we sticking now? Most of these cup matches, Nuno's gone for like a back three. I can't remember what he did. Did he do that against Ipswich? I can't remember.
I think he did. You
were there, Rob.
The game of the cup,
my go-to man on details.
Yeah, chat. I've got a feeling he went back four, against Ipswich.
We had a midfield of Sangare, Yates, and Dominguez. I think it was like
he did Ant's Wall.
Danilo. Sorry, we had Danilo, Sangare, and Yates was the midfield in that. Go on, check. Let's just check.
All right. Okay. Let's just ignore that point, right?
Can you remember Ant's Wall of just like 10 men?
That was the Man City game, wasn't it? That was the Man City game. Okay, let's get.
It worked. Did it? Exactly what I said.
It wasn't four at the back. It was four at the back. Yates and Sangare in midfield, and Danilo played the 10. And we didn't really create anything until Gibbs White came on. I don't think we're going to be starting with that.
But Danilo's not a 10.
Well, he was. In theory, in the Ipswich game, he was.
No,
because Gibbs White didn't start that game.
I'm not denying that, but it's a bit unfair to judge him as Mr. Krypton over there is doing.
Yeah.
On his...
Oh shit!
Sorry,
I pressed the wrong button. Okay, so let's get into this, right? So here's your team sheet, right? Who wants to have first crack at what team they want to go for?
Can I just go first, just because I've got it? Someone's ringing me. Just because I've literally got it written down. So yeah, back four, fine, and then I'm going MGW left, Anderson.
Wait, what formation? What formation, sir?
4-3-2-1, Christmas tree. So basically like that, but move Dominguez right, MGW left, and then Hudson and Elanga just in front of them as a 2, and then Awani up the front. I think that's a great formation, like blocking out the midfield. And yeah, someone's calling me. I'm not sure why, so I will return.
When we beat Brighton 7-0, they had one central midfielder. So I'm not
quite doing that again.
Well, I don't know. Are they? Because the thing is, they're under pressure to attack. They're at home. They know that we'll beat them on penalties, so they're going to try and win it within the 90.
But Rob, we played a back three against Brighton. Do you remember it, Anne? Because we were there, and Morato was on the right-hand side. Do you remember? It was
we only had 36% possession.
Yeah, so
you know what I mean?
I'm anticipating from Hertzler another sort of kamikaze high press attacking game because they're at home. They'll be under pressure to. They're at home and they'll be under the pressure to win within the 90 because they've seen us knock a load of people out on penalties. So I think we should be aiming to hit them on the break and definitely those front three. I think Elanga and Awani can combine very well. They used to combine well before.
Wait, Rob, are you saying this formation is better? I don't agree with you, man.
Sorry, not this formation.
So what are you doing here?
I mean, we could do the 3 at the back as long as people don't view it as a negative formation. I think it's quite.
But bear in mind as well, Rob. Sorry to interrupt you. We've got United about 3 days later on the Tuesday. Yeah, so
that's disgusting, by the way.
I know. Yeah, and on top of that, a lot of these have just come back today. I think Sosa's still not even back. Okay, I know Sosa's not a regular, but are you putting any weight on jet lag and all those usual kind of buzzwords?
Brighton are similarly impacted, right? They've got a load of internationals. So I think, you just got to, you've got to just pick your best players at this stage now. It's the quarterfinals. So, in the previous ones...
Sorry to interrupt you, mate, but the thing is, Brighton aren't playing until Wednesday. They've got an extra day to recover, so they can perhaps afford to have some of their first teamers play a little bit more of the match than we can.
Well, so whereas with the previous rounds, I felt like we had to have a plan for 120 minutes, and especially with the Ipswich game, both teams were containing each other for the first hour until Ipswich scored off a corner. I think this will be different. I think that Hertzler hasn't necessarily learned his lesson from the 7-0. He's going to view that as a blip because they went on to win 4 games after that. So I think that they are going to come at us, and I think we need to punish them in the same way.
What formation are you going, Rob?
No, let's go with the 4 at the back. It was fine against Ipswich in the last game, and we need to do whatever is going to get the best out of Elanga, who seems to be our form player at the moment.
So what formation are you going, Rob?
The 4-2-3-1. It's our strongest lineup.
Okay, 4-2-3-1. Right, just while I'm tidying this up and getting it up, guys, please don't forget to hit the like. Make sure you go and check out the auction as well. That's pinned to the comments. And make sure you're following Tom as well on Instagram. Not that he needs it, right? But give him some love there. So you're going 4-2-3-1. Okay, they're all in the wrong place, but go on, tell me what you want.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing it. Yeah, that.
So you're going full strength. You're going Dominguez.
Yeah. Or Yates, but that's our strongest team. Just start with that.
It is. Well,
and
you agree with that?
It's a slightly different formation. It's still the same team.
Yeah.
Wait, so Anne, are you doing the same there?
It's really difficult because we have got Manchester United on Tuesday night, and we really need to win that.
Yep. I've got a lot riding on that game. Yeah.
With that in mind, I would probably rest some of our important players. So I'd take off MGW and put Danilo in.
Okay.
You just said he's not.
Wait, are you saying Danilo's not an important player?
Ooh. No. I was kidding. Bring MGW back. MGW can play because he didn't bother playing for England, or he didn't get the chance to play for England.
All right. Okay.
I'm just looking through it now. Is anybody we can? No, I'd play that. I'd play our strongest team.
We've got to win it in the 90. We've got to win it in the 90.
Wait, you're always on about Nuno tries to win it on penalties.
Let me finish, right? So we've got to win it in the 90 because we've got this game on Tuesday.
Yeah, I agree with that, Rob. We really could do with winning or losing it in the 90.
Yeah, because we can't bring Chris Wood on after 75 minutes and leave him on until penalties. Then it does change things a little bit because we certainly don't want you taking a penalty. So look, win it in the 90 and then start the recovery.
Why have you got
You're quite right. If we can get like 2-0 ahead, you can then start perhaps to tighten it up and swap players over.
No. Then we'll lose 3-2.
All right. Well, we'll get into the permutations and everything. I just want to know what Tom's team is. Tom, firstly, what formation would you go?
I played the 4-2-3-1, and I would have changed Sangari for Dominguez.
Ooh, okay.
Sangari was good against Ipswich, by the way. I thought it was unfair to take him off.
He's a good player. We know he's struggling to adapt to the pace, but he's got to have games to be able to adapt to the pace, hasn't he?
Okay. Are you changing anything else, Tom?
No, I'd leave it at that.
Even with Man U on Tuesday?
I think we've got to go out and win this early. And then I think we're going to go and beat Man U. And anyway, we've got to win both games. This is the best chance of winning the game and taking that on into the Manchester United game. So we're in this similar sort of position.
Yeah.
You don't want 120 minutes and penalties again.
To be fair, Wolfie, Tom's already stated that we're going to win every game for the rest of the season. So
he did.
The formation doesn't matter.
The team don't matter as long as Nuno's there, kind of thing. I would do a lot different to what you guys are saying. I really would. Well, it's on my video tomorrow though. I don't want to waste the video for tomorrow, but
tune in, folks.
Yeah,
it's going to be
exciting. Going to be damn different.
Have you gone back five with wing backs?
No, I haven't gone back 5. I just think you got to think like Murillo just got back today. Aynar's had 2 games. Has he had 1 or 2 games for Nigeria? I can't remember. Nico Williams played for Wales. You got Elanga.
Nico Williams is as fit as a butcher's dog. Playing every other day
this season.
Yeah.
And I don't think
I agree with Murillo. I would actually not be devastated. Well, I would be in a way devastated if Morata was playing instead of Murillo. But I am concerned. It is a long trip back from Brazil. It really is.
But Morata's better in a back five, though. I don't really like him in a
He
back.
is.
But Ant,
He
don't
is.
you think Murillo wants to play?
I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would find it difficult to manage.
You're right, Rob.
Say
He's
to somebody,
22
"You're
years
too
old.
tight."
When I was 22 years old,
Yeah.
I used to be able to go. No, I won't tell you what I used to be able to do, but things I can't do now, I used to be able to do when I was 22.
There's not one of those players that's saying, "I'm tired. I don't want to play." They're all up
No,
for
you're
it.
right. You're right. He'll be fine.
And you can say that in a different way. You can say things you used to do when you were 22. You can still do it now, just by yourself.
Or it's painful.
Thank you.
Yay!
It's back. It's back.
All right. I don't know. I think you guys are just. I don't know about this one, right? Because let me ask. You guys seem all agreed roughly on that team, which is very interesting to say the least. So I'm going to be the asshole and ask you a lot of tough question. By the way, shout out to Aaron Talks Arsenal, who is not a deluded Arsenal fan. I had a really good stream with him yesterday over on Never a Foul. Make sure you subscribe to him. Top bloke. Let me ask you guys this question. Would you rather 3 points against United and lose to Brighton, or beat Brighton and lose to Man United?
You know
Easy
my
answer that one is. That's easy.
Rather beat Brighton.
And lose
Because
to Man
if
U.
if we lose, we're out the FA Cup. So
Yeah.
I want to stay in the FA Cup. I want to win the FA Cup. I want to come second in the Premier League. And the fact that Rob is shaking his head just confirms 110% that this is definitely what I want.
Okay, Rob, what are you saying?
Look, the point about the FA Cup is there's no point winning 5 out of 6 games in the FA Cup, right? The FA Cup is only really worth anything if you actually win it. So all we're talking about is a chance to then play someone in the semi-final, and then if we win that, then play someone in the final. Our chances of having anything. Great. So I am talking. I'm going to talk. I'll just talk over you.
Chill, it's not go. Let him land, Ben. Let him land. Go on.
Yeah,
go on.
right. So our chance of coming out of this with the FA Cup is considerably less than our chance of qualifying for the Champions League. You've just said you would prefer us to lose at home to Manchester United just to stay in the FA Cup.
That in itself is.
It was a choice of the two. I can't believe
you're still going to get what we want at the end of the season.
You cannot defend that position. That is a traitorous position. We will not lose at home.
You're the one.
If we lose at home to Man U, it's your fault.
You don't
if we
care
lose
about
at home to Man U, it's your fault.
You just said, what is the point of even being in it if we're not going to win? Well, why does anybody play the fucking competition in the first place? You may as well sling it out and not bother.
I would have happily gone out in the first round if it meant.
I know, because I remember the comments in the chat slandering you.
At least I go to the FA Cup game.
All right, so wait. All right,
Sunday already.
All right, hold on. Right. So, Rob, which way round did you say?
Right. If you told me I could definitely have 3 points at home against Man United, but it means us going out the cup, I would take that and run with it. Definitely. If the alternative was win the cup game and then lose at home, can you imagine how damaging a home defeat to Man U would be to our morale and to our Champions League push? That would be totally unacceptable. It's unthinkable. Losing to Man U this season is unthinkable. They are absolute crap.
Zero expectation.
All right, Tom.
I hate these people that can't control themselves on camera.
Honestly, man, and Ant's the one who always gets accused. Yeah, Tom, which permutation would you go with?
Based on the conversation presented and a lack of winning mentality from some people in the cast.
Yes, well said.
I would take a loss against Brighton to beat Manchester United.
Oh, interesting.
Just to answer your question, I don't believe that's going to happen. I think we're going to beat Brighton and we're going to beat Manchester
United.
Yeah,
we know what
obviously.
you think,
Obviously. I mean, you were winning every game with you, man. I'm loving it. Yeah, okay. Well, Ben, you're not going to bite down Tom's throat?
No, I know it's how
he's got 400,000 followers. You're just going to let him go.
I mean, he's got 560,000 followers on Instagram. I've got like 73. So look, I can't. Although my dog's got
I'm sure
about
if you ask Tom nice enough, he'll make it 74.
my dog's
Right?
got 2,500. Anyway. Well, I was gonna say I can be a bit. My business has got 1.1 million. But anyway, Rob, right? You normally sit on the fence. You're not sitting on the fence.
How's your business got
FA Cup.
1.1 million? That's ridiculous.
Got 1.1
Sorry, that's a
million
different
followers.
conversation. We'll
We'll talk about that offline. Yeah, we've got 1.1 million followers on social. Anyway, Rob, you normally sit on the fence. You're not sitting on the fence this one. You're saying let's go out the FA Cup, which says to me you don't care about the FA Cup in the first place.
If the alternative is losing at home to Manchester United, a team that we don't lose to anymore, we always beat them now. So you want us to lose at home to Manchester United so we can get to the FA Cup semi-final? That is a ridiculous.
I want to win the FA Cup and I want Champions League. I don't care if we come second or fifth. As long as we get Champions League.
We are not in a position to say that 3 points can be thrown away in the league.
Yeah.
I've got people messaging me from work saying, just watching your outburst at Rob.
All right. So Tom's saying beat United. Rob saying United lose to Brighton as well. Ben is saying beat Brighton, lose to Man U. And I'm not sure which way you're going to swing on this one.
Oh, I think it's fairly obvious, isn't it? It's fucking hell. You're talking about Manchester United, mate. No, beat them bastards. I don't care what happens in the rest of the world. That's all that matters. Beat them. If it was a case of, the world ends, but we lose to Man United, or it doesn't end, the other way around, I'd say, fuck the world, let's beat Man United. That's what
I hear that.
Is there a poll going on this, by the way?
Yeah, there is.
Ooh.
Get your votes in on this poll. So beat Brighton, lose to Man U, or beat United and lose to Brighton. That's the poll.
I will just expand on it a little bit. I do understand Ben's point of view. 100% I do. Absolutely. 100%. And normally, see, you spoil things, don't you, by being an arsehole? That's the problem with you, man. All right? I shall try and continue. I can see his point of view because, of course, beating Man United or beating a team at home doesn't matter. It doesn't guarantee one way or the other whether we get Champions League. So, of course, Ben's right. We can win the Brighton match, lose to Man United, and still qualify for the Champions League. Of course we can. But two things. Number one is I don't want to drop any points that we can avoid dropping in the chase for the Champions League. And also, I will never want Forest to lose at home to Manchester United. It just won't happen, no matter what the consequences are. So, on this occasion, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go for a Brighton loss and a Man U win. Us, not them. But as Tom quite rightly says, we can certainly do both.
So you basically you don't want any silverware, basically.
You're missing the point. It's not about the silverware, man. It's not about the silverware.
Ben, I understand what you're saying, mate. I understand what you're saying. But if this was Brentford, I'd probably say, oh, yeah, we lose to Brentford. I'm not bothered. We'll still qualify.
Someone asked Stuart Pearce this question last night, actually. Do you know his answer?
What did he say?
Yeah, what? So they said to Stuart Pearce, would you take Champions League qualification or winning the FA Cup? And he said, look,
he would say winning the cup.
Yes, he said winning the cup because it's something that they wanted to do for Cloughie, and they never managed to do it. And in those days, it really meant something, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And it was the one thing that Forest under Clough couldn't win. So it's interesting.
Okay, well, hold on, Ben. So do you think, I mean, you can't answer for him, but had we won the FA Cup, say in 91, would his answer have been different? Would his answer have been different?
The thing is, right, people will remember if we win the FA Cup. They won't remember if we won't remember if we lose 1-0 to Man United at home. Who cares if we lose to Man United? As long as we get Champions League, it's fine. We need cupware.
No, Ben, I fully understand what you're saying. I really do. But
you're still disagreeing.
This is perhaps the first occasion in many moons that I would have put league position over a cup win. But
I thought you were going to
say that Champions League, mate.
I thought you were going to say this the first time with this.
All right, Ben, let me ask you this, right? Because this is something Ant asked 2 years ago. If Forest were 1 point clear of relegation, Okay.
Yeah.
And we were playing Man U, final day of the season.
Yeah.
Would you rather Forest won that match and lost to Brighton in the FA Cup, or win the FA Cup match and
Well,
potentially
I mean,
get
if we were
relegated?
1 point off relegation, I'd rather secure staying in the league. But that's
So what happened to Silverware?
But that's different situation. We can still easily get Champions League and win the FA Cup.
Yeah,
I
but we
think the
could still
easier way of saying it is: would you rather Forest win the cup and get relegated, or not, or not win the cup?
We're
and
not
stay
going to
up?
get relegated.
That,
Okay,
no, I know.
let me
I'm talking about in that scenario.
I'll put it a different way. I'd rather guarantee we'd get Champions League football than win the FA Cup. However, I think if we lose to Man United, it doesn't have that much of an effect on us.
You're right.
It
You're
might
right.
do. It might do.
It might do.
At the end of
Because
the
then you've
season,
got
it
Villa
might
away
do.
straight after it. That is not.
That's a tough
that-
game.
you
I
got a bad
know, but
look.
you could say might this, might that, might whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
And we
Yeah.
are getting a bit nearer as well. You know, we're sort of saying, yeah, well, we've got another 7 games. We'll pick up enough points.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I think
Not Real
Rob,
Madrid.
I think Rob's still drunk from last night.
That is a possibility, actually.
All right.
That would hold water, Ben, if the rest of us didn't agree with Rob. That's the problem.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, to be
let's
fair,
get the predictions in.
if you hadn't gone to Rob first, I probably would have had a different answer for you.
Oh,
No.
well, I might get Flying Pig on for a preview. Would you lot? Who do you lot want for a Man
Fine
U
Pig City,
preview?
come on. Fine Pig
Yeah,
City,
do you
come on.
want Flying Pig? Do you want Cass? Do you want Flex from United Stand? Do you want so
that?
many?
Who's that
Gold
guy that
feed.
gets really angry in your
Don't forget
reaction?
Goldfish, who always slags us
Oh, we
off.
can't get Goldbridge. We can't get Goldbridge.
Is
Oh,
that
sorry,
the
I was just talking
the
about
angry guy from
PPA.
your video?
Huh?
Flying Pig, the one that's really
Meltdown.
foul mouthed. Yeah,
Yeah.
him, no, get him on the meltdown guy. Yes.
The problem is, if you get Goldbridge on, he'd start running his own Forest channel because he's a Forest fan.
There you go. The agenda. Like you saying Flying Pig in the chat. All right, we'll see what we can do about getting Flying Pig on.
Get him on.
All right, let's do score predictions. Let's for the FA Cup, that is. Let's start with God. Tom's been so patient and polite with these. Like, I don't know how you survived this long, Tom. Honestly,
Mind you, he watches regularly, so he knows what we're like.
he knows the trigger points.
you
Go
get
on,
half a
Tom.
million
What are you
followers.
saying then? How's this one playing out? Saturday? Is it a 5:15 kickoff or something? I think.
Yeah, it is.
Well, not for you, Tom, but
I didn't even know what time it was today, did I? So
exactly.
2-1 Forest
In normal time.
in normal time.
Who's scoring?
Well, it's not going to be Chris Wood, is it?
Stupid question.
Taiwo
Okay.
and I think Elanga.
And Elanga. All right, cool. I'll take a 2-1. I'll take a 2-1. My God, you lot do want Flying Pig on. All right, we'll see what it can do. Get your score predictions in as well. Make sure you've hit the like button. And let's go to Ant.
Yeah, I'll go along with 2-1. Yeah, I'll go along. I think 2-1's reasonable to Forest.
Yeah. You confident on a 2-1?
No, I think we'll lose, but I could see us winning 2-1.
Wait, I just asked you what your prediction is. You said you'll go over 2-1.
I don't have a prediction because I'm not Mystic Meg. I can't actually predict.
We just take a guess.
I can say what I think, but I can't actually predict.
So why do you do the predictor league every week and then try and gloat when you're near the top?
Because that's done with football knowledge.
So do this one with football knowledge. Who wins?
Well, I can't because I don't know what the team's going to be, do I?
You don't know what the
I don't know
team's
how
going to be when
I
you do
don't
the
know how-
predictor league.
Oh, I do. I've got inside info. You know me, mate. It depends on the team you put out to an extent. Depends on the formation. Depends on whether players are tired after international. There's a lot of variables. So what I'm saying is the likelihood is that we'll lose because we're away from home, although we've been very good away from home. But there's every chance that we can win. How's that?
I don't get what you just said. I literally don't know what that means.
Well, I think Brighton will win, but I'm hoping Forest will. I guess that's what I was.
Ben, what are you predicting?
I'm going to go 4-0 Brighton. If Awani's playing, that's it. Season's over for me.
Are you serious?
These guys can't get
Move on.
Wait, hold
Wani
on.
won't score.
Wait, no. Wait, hold on. Because Wood is not fit.
It's all grand.
Who's a striker?
Yeah.
I can get the 0 goals, but why are we going to concede 4 goals? That's the bit that confuses me.
Because if in Rob's mentality, if we're not going to win the FA
What's
Cup.
you and Rob today,
Yeah.
man? Seriously.
How about you give your own answer and
What's the
don't
point,
refer to
Rob?
me?
What's the point, Rob? If we're not going to win the cup, what's the point, man? Lose
Right,
4-0.
you
I
can't
don't
get any
care.
sense out of him now.
All right, Rob. I've only had one sensible answer so far,
I
and it ain't been from a regular on
Thank
here.
you.
I think we'll win 2-0.
Okay.
I think
What?
we'll win 2-0. Right? Listen, the last time Brighton beat us at that ground, it was 1-0, and we had to score the goal for them. It was Andrew Omobamidele from own goal from a corner. Right? I'm not worried about Brighton now. I am not worried about Brighton. I think that they are very worried about us. And I think they'll just come flying at us and we'll hit them on the break. Someone like Elanga will score and then they will just go even more gung-ho and they will hit them on the break again. We'll bring on Morato and play out the 90 and it's in the bag. 3-0.
It's not worth bloody watching now, is it? We know everything that's going to happen.
So what I would
Ruined
say
it for
is,
us.
you know
You
that
spoiled
Ipswich
the
game?
match for us.
Yeah.
You know that Ipswich game? It was all about who scored first, right? And it until about 25 minutes, it didn't seem like we were playing all that well. And then suddenly we just started wailing on them, just scoring at will.
Ipswich scored first. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the Ipswich League game.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So the
We know
first
we're sort of doing the
our
FA Cup
last
preview.
game, I know it was 2 weeks ago. In our last game, it was a bit of a cagey start, but once we'd got the first one, they just went to pieces. And I think Brighton will do the same. They went to pieces at the City ground. I am not worried about Brighton anymore. They're not a team that conveys any sense of fear in me.
You know they haven't lost a game since they played us.
Yeah, against other people. I don't care.
Yeah, not played us, have they?
You think they're going to win, Anne? What are you doing here right now?
I'm backing Rob. I'm backing my buddy Rob. He makes a lot of sensible points. And the more he talks, the more I think, yeah, he's right.
You have a good evening.
All right. So what we've got tonight, your little summary from tonight. Rob isn't scared of Brighton and thinks they're gonna win, but he also thinks Rob is right. And Crypto's childish, according to those in the comments. And Tom thinks Forest will win every game and do the double this season. So on that note, I hope you've learned a lot from tonight's stream, guys. Please make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed. A massive shout out to Tom for joining us all the way over from Vegas. Been an absolute pleasure to have him back on. Please check out the auction. It is pinned in the chat. What's the date? Did you say, Tom? 14th of April for that?
I believe so. 4th or 14th.
4th or 14th of April. The details of how to get involved are on that website as well. For those of you watching it later, we'll chuck it in the description as well so you don't miss it. Yeah, good luck and we'll see you tomorrow.
Can I just say in my defense as well that I'm on my 3rd whiskey and Coke.
Okay.
That's no defense.
I'll see you tomorrow for my preview. Come on, you Reds.
You Reds.